The sterile white walls of the Galactic Defense Academy's Tactical Studies classroom hummed with the quiet conversation of 24 cadets from across the known galaxy. Lisa Hartwell sat near the back, her human features standing out among the scaled Zephyrians, crystalline Vorthan, and gas-breathing Kalari that made up her class. Instructor Vex High, a towering 8-foot Rigelian with 4 arms and compound eyes, gestured toward the holographic display showing various energy weapons. His chittering voice filled the room as he explained plasma rifle configurations to the mixed species class. The evolution of warfare, Vex High declared, has always moved toward more sophisticated technology. Primitive species began with crude clubs and sharp stones, eventually developing projectile weapons, then energy-based systems, and finally the quantum disruptors we use today. A Kalari cadet, her methane-breathing apparatus hissing softly, raised a tentacle. Instructor, what about species that never developed beyond primitive weapons before achieving spaceflight? Vex High's mandibles clicked in what passed for amusement among his kind. An interesting theoretical question, Cadet Zephyra. However, such a scenario is virtually impossible. Any species capable of interstellar travel must have mastered advanced weapons technology first. Warfare drives innovation. Lisa shifted uncomfortably in her chair, remembering the history lessons about humanity's rapid technological advancement. Humans had indeed gone from wooden clubs to nuclear weapons in a remarkably short time. But they'd also maintained their knowledge of primitive techniques even as they reached for the stars. Cadet Hartwell, Vex High suddenly addressed her, his compound eyes swiveling to focus on the human. Your species achieved spaceflight relatively recently. Surely humans abandoned primitive weaponcraft once you developed energy weapons? The classroom fell silent. Lisa could feel the weight of 23 alien gazes upon her. Most of her classmates viewed humans as a curiosity, a young species that had stumbled into galactic society through sheer luck rather than superiority. Not exactly, sir, Lisa replied carefully. Humans tend to preserve old knowledge alongside new innovations. Vex High's mandibles clicked again, this time with skepticism. Surely you don't mean to suggest that primitive weapons have any relevance in modern warfare. They are relics, museum pieces at best. A Zephyrian cadet named Crexmore leaned forward, his scales shifting to an amused blue pattern. Instructor, perhaps we should ask Cadet Hartwell to demonstrate these primitive human weapons. I'm sure we'd all find it educational. His tone dripped with condescension. Lisa felt her jaw tighten, but before she could respond, Vex High raised a hand. An excellent suggestion, Cadet Crexmore. Cadet Hartwell, since you claim humans retain knowledge of primitive weaponry, perhaps you could show us how such weapons would perform against modern technology? The instructor gestured broadly around the classroom. You have access to everything in this room. Demonstrate how a primitive weapon could possibly threaten a properly equipped modern soldier. Lisa stood slowly, her mind racing. The challenge was clear. Either prove that human ingenuity had value, or be dismissed as representing a backward species clinging to obsolete traditions. She surveyed the classroom. Metal desks, plastic chairs, holographic projectors, environmental controls, and various educational materials. What kind of demonstration did you have in mind, sir? She asked. Vex High activated his personal shield generator, a shimmering barrier of energy that could deflect most handheld weapons. Strike my shield with your primitive weapon. If you can cause even minor disruption to the energy field, I will acknowledge that such weapons retain some tactical value. Murmurs rippled through the classroom. Personal shield generators were standard equipment for all galactic military personnel. They could absorb the energy from plasma rifles and deflect projectiles moving at supersonic speeds. Lisa nodded and began moving around the classroom, examining the furniture and equipment. The other cadets watched with mixtures of curiosity and amusement as she lifted a desk, tested the flexibility of a chair back, and examined the metal supports of a holographic projector. "Cadet Hartwell!" Crexmore called out, his scales now shifting to entertained yellow. "Surely you're not planning to throw furniture at the instructor?" "Not exactly," Lisa murmured, continuing her assessment. She found what she needed: 2 metal desk legs that could be detached, the elastic cord from a window blind, and the straight back of a plastic chair. Working quickly and methodically, Lisa began to disassemble and reconfigure the materials. She used the metal desk legs as the main frame, securing them with the cord in a specific pattern she'd learned during childhood camping trips with her grandfather. The chair back became a rest, and she carefully tested the tension and flexibility of her improvised construction. "Fascinating," whispered Dr. Thoral, the Vorthon professor of xenobiology who had been observing the class. "She's constructing some form of spring-loaded projectile launcher." "A bow," Lisa corrected, making final adjustments. "Specifically, a compound-style bow adapted from available materials." Vexhi's mandibles stopped clicking. His 4 eyes focused intently on the device Lisa had created. "That is remarkably ingenious construction for such a short time frame." Lisa looked around for ammunition and spotted something perfect. A metal stylus used for the holographic interface, long and straight with a pointed tip. She picked it up and knocked it against the cord. "Instructor," she said, raising the improvised bow. Human weapons weren't just about the technology. They were about adaptability, creativity, and the ability to turn anything into a tool for survival. She drew the cord back, feeling the tension build in the makeshift weapon. The classroom fell completely silent as every cadet leaned forward to watch. "The thing about humans," Lisa continued, aiming carefully at Vexhi's shield, "is that we never really abandoned primitive weapons. We just got better at making them from whatever was available." She released the cord. The metal stylus flew across the classroom faster than most eyes could track. It struck Vexhi's personal shield with a sharp crack, and for a moment, the energy field flickered and sparked where the projectile had hit. The shield held, but the disruption was visible to everyone in the room. Vexhi stared at his shield. Generator's readout, his mandibles clicking rapidly. "Impossible! The impact registered as kinetic energy equivalent to a military-grade projectile weapon. How did a primitive device achieve such velocity?" Lisa lowered her improvised bow, a slight smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "Physics, sir. Stored potential energy, leverage, and about 10,000 years of human experience finding new ways to throw pointy objects at things that needed to be dead." Cadet Zafara's breathing apparatus hissed excitedly. "But the materials were completely unsuited for weapons construction. How did you know they would work?" "Because humans have been making weapons out of inappropriate materials for our entire history," Lisa explained. "When you're a species that evolved on a planet trying to kill you every single day, you learn to see every object as a potential tool for survival." Dr. Thoral's crystalline structure pulsed with fascination. "This suggests that human tactical thinking operates on fundamentally different principles than other species. Where we see specialized equipment, you see raw materials." Vexhi slowly deactivated his shield generator, his compound eyes still fixed on Lisa's improvised bow. "Cadet Hartwell, in 37 years of teaching tactical studies, no student has ever successfully disrupted my personal shield using classroom materials." He paused, his mandibles clicking thoughtfully. "It appears I may have underestimated the tactical value of adaptive thinking." Crexmore's scales had shifted from amused yellow to respectful blue. "How long would it take you to teach others to construct such weapons?" Lisa glanced around at her classmates, seeing genuine interest rather than condescension for the first time since joining the academy. "That depends. How much furniture are you willing to sacrifice for the lesson?" The laughter that filled the classroom was no longer at her expense, but with appreciation for the ingenuity that had just been demonstrated. As Lisa carefully disassembled her improvised weapon, she reflected on something her grandfather had once told her. "Lisa, humans don't win because we're stronger or smarter than everything else. We win because when everything goes wrong, we're the ones who figure out how to keep fighting with whatever's left." Looking at the impressed faces of her alien classmates, Lisa realized that perhaps humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their weapons. It was their refusal to accept that any situation was truly hopeless, as long as there were still materials to work with and problems to solve. After all, humans had spent millennia proving that with enough creativity and desperation, anything could become a weapon, even classroom furniture.